Bonjour mes amis, how are you all today? I hope you're well. Guess what? It's raining again. It just seems relentless the last couple of months. So, I'm indoors, stuck indoors. As I've said in the past, I don't mind gardening and a bit of drizzle, but honestly, it's too much at the moment, especially for raking leaves. Oh my goodness, I need to get on with raking and trimming leaves. Never mind. So today, try and picture me right now in my shed, because I'm actually going to do some gardening today, but I'm going to do it indoors in the flat. More of that in a minute. Just before I get stuck into all of that, yes, what order should we do things in? Yes, I know. Think before you speak, Vivi. So, the last video you saw was me giving my hair a trim. What do you think? Not quite even. It's not too bad. It will do. And it didn't cost me a penny, and that's the main thing. But for those of you who aren't on Facebook, who don't see my Facebook page, the cat came out of the bag this week, as it were. I've been on a secret mission for the last 4 years or so, and I'm going to be on my mission for another 6 months or so. When I stopped work, oh my goodness, I've got to get this all in the right order in terms of my thoughts. While I was working, kind of old-fashioned, the Methodist way, even though I don't, practice anymore, I used to tithe my wages. And what that means is, before I even get my hands on my wages, the first 10% would always go out to someone in need. So, for example, for me, that meant setting up direct debits to my 10 favourite charities and giving them all 20 quid a month. So before I got my wages, that would be gone straight away. And that's great, because then I'm not going to accidentally get my wages and spend it all without sort of seeing to my charities. So when I stopped work, I obviously had to stop those direct debits, because there's no way I could find £200 a month for them all. I couldn't even find I couldn't literally find £1 a month for each of them anymore. That broke my heart. It really upsets me still. But I can do other things for those various different charities, whether it's just talking about them and raising awareness, or giving my bits and pieces to them for their shops, for them to sell, or giving my time. Of course, giving time is a bit tricky, because time is the one thing I don't really have these days. But the one thing I can do that doesn't cost me any time, although it'll have taken about 5 years, I'm going to give my hair away. Yay! So, my secret plan for the last 4 years or so, and I formulated this plan even before I stopped work, was to stop putting any colour or bleach or highlights or anything on my hair, grow that all out, so that eventually I could have hair long enough that can be chopped off, so that my hair can then be donated to a wonderful organisation called, is it Little Princess Trust, or The Princess Trust? I'll put a link underneath the video later on. So that's been my plan for ages. But my hair has been growing so slowly, it does my head in. I'm like, come on, trying to pull it, which doesn't work. But that's one of the reasons I've been so kind of kind and careful with my hair over the last few years, of not putting anything on it, because they need unadulterated hair. So eventually, I'm hoping by the late spring, early summer of next year, there'll be enough there in good enough condition so that I can basically tie a bunch right up here, snip it, and then I'm just looking in here, and then they'd have all of that. And this organisation they make wigs for kids just like the kids I used to work with on my old ward, who lose their hair through the chemotherapy that's pumped into them before they have their transplants. So I've seen firsthand what a difference a wig can make to a kid. Oh my goodness. I'm not going to talk too much about it now, because when it comes to the time next year, I'll talk about it much more then. I'm hoping to be able to speak to the trust so we can show a bit more of what they do and talk about the impact it has on the kids. But it's amazing. It doesn't cost me anything. And this is what I mean about going back to that thing of, I can't give money to charity anymore, but there are things I can do to help. So this is all going, yay. But then, deep breath, it's not going to stop there. I will be asking all of you for sponsorship too, as well as my family and friends. I'm hoping, oh, it's so scary, to do the big shave for Macmillan. But I'm actually going to split it between two charities, Macmillan and Anthony Nolan. And again, Macmillan is the nurses who work with cancer patients. Anthony Nolan is the organisation, I'm going to talk a lot more about this when the time comes, that holds the register of folk who would like to donate their bone marrow. They are lifesavers. They are, no two ways about it, they are lifesavers. So I'll put some little links for them under this video as well, because honestly, going onto the register, it's literally a little cheek swab on the end of like a cotton bud. Go on the register, and especially from, actually no, I'm going to talk about that properly when we come to do it, but there are certain groups of genetic profiles of races, people, if you like, where they struggle to get matches. But anyway, that's all going to come next year, so I'm going to keep growing this as much as I can. I'm going to keep looking after it. We're going to cut it off, give that to the wig makers, and then hopefully I would love to raise £5,000 maybe. The whole lot's going to come off. I'm going to have a shaved head, and I can tell you what, I'm not going to suit it. I do not suit short hair, but if I can raise some money and if I can give a wig to a kid, it'll be worth it. Right, anyway, so that's that out of the way. Like I say, I know there's a lot of you that are not on Facebook, so you won't have seen that update. So pre-warning, next year I'm going to look like a weird alien as I do my gardening. Right, but today, oh, I just caught a glimpse of this. This is my next little stash of fabric to work with. Isn't it gorgeous? And then I've got this little bit, it won't go very far, but look, isn't that perfect? You see what it is? It's loads of brollies, or is it parasols? Well, today I'm thinking of it as brollies because of this rain. I don't think you can hear it. The camera's probably not picking it up, but obviously I can hear the rain on the roof, but I can hear it swooshing down my big gully gutters. Speaking of rain, before I move on, like I said, just pretend I'm in my shed and we're about to do some gardening. We will in a second. A big thank you. I'm going to just take this out of the packet because I think the reflections are going to be too bright for the camera. This lovely gift from Michelle. Thank you so much, Michelle. And it was Michelle who sent me the book about 7 months over winter in a tent minding salmon eggs. Isn't this great? Little metal sign. What's it say? Life isn't about waiting for the showers to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. Abso-blimmin-lutely. So it's a little metal sign. It's got the tiniest, weeniest little screw holes. So I need to find some screws that will fit that, but that's going to go somewhere in the shed, or it might even go on the fence behind my deck chair somewhere. Not sure yet, but thank you so much, Michelle. Now for the main star of today's show. Oops, Filmus interruptus. As I was about to say, the main star of today's show. What's in the box, Vivi? I don't know what that was about. Thank you so much to Florrie. In the spring, I sent Florrie some seeds. I didn't want anything in return. I didn't need anything, expect anything in return. But the gorgeous Florrie has sent me a kit as a thank you. So thank you for your lovely letter, Florrie. I do like getting your letters. I mean, not just Florrie's, I mean everyone else's. So what I thought I would do is sort of open this sort of live with you. I have already opened it because I had no idea what was in it. Just have a quick look. It's a mushroom kit. So as I opened it, the first thing I saw was this packet. It says grey oyster grain spawn, you see, and then I saw straight away it says store in the fridge. So I'd opened this. I think I've had this box about 10 days or so now, but other things have been going on. So I popped this straight into the fridge. It does say best before end of December 2019, so I'm presuming it's best to start before the end of December. So that's why I need to get a wriggle on today. So that has been in the fridge, but it's now out to get ready. But what I thought I'd do is I thought I'd open this as if I was live with you, because I know there's probably loads of you who are interested in maybe buying a mushroom kit and starting one yourself and have no idea what to expect. So I thought, well, let's do it and learn together and see what happens. I'm just thinking though, you may need to be further away from me so you can see everything as I unpack it. Let's do that. You seem so far away now, I've had to put my specs on so I can see you. Right, so instructions. Obs. I'll have a read of these with you in a second. Let's pop those there for a moment. Then, okay, so big bag of straw, cable tie. What's this say? Perforated fruiting tent. When a mushroom grows, is it called fruiting? I don't know, I always get muddled up between fruits and veg anyway. I think of squash and tomatoes as fruit. I know there's probably some rule about it, isn't there, about seeds contained or, oh, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so basically that's a big sort of plastic bag and it's got lots of little holes in it. Okay, so let's just set that aside a second. My perforated fruiting tent and my cable tie, and just pop those back in the box so I don't lose them. So, 7 steps. 7 steps. I don't know how easy this is going to be to follow. I would have thought fairly straightforward. So let's have a little look at this quickly before I actually go and start trying to do them. Lift the straw used for packaging out of the cardboard and place in the growing bag provided. The growing bag. Maybe that's the bag it's already in, because I've only got a fruiting bag otherwise. I think that's what it must mean. So keep it in that bag. Carefully pour, step 2, pour 2 kettles of boiling water approximately over the straw, fold the top, allow it to cool and pour the excess water out. That's what we'll do in a second. Step 3, sprinkle the spawn Sprinkle the spawn onto the straw in the bag. Gather the neck of the bag and seal with the tie. Cable tie for that. Shake the bag to distribute the spawn. Okay, so I'm going to do all this morning, this afternoon I mean. Place the bag in the warmth, 18 to 25 degrees C. My flat is hovering around 18 at the moment. I'm trying not to put the heating on too much. So expensive, it's stupid, isn't it? So I'm going to place the bag in the warmth for 4 weeks. Daylight not required. Good job, because we ain't getting much. And the white mushroom mycelium will grow through the straw. Okay, so 4 weeks. Step 5, cool for 2 days. This is a bit more complicated than I thought it was going to be. It says cool for 2 days, i.e. or e.g. put it in the fridge at 4 to 10, or 3 to 5 days at 10 to 15. Now 10 to 15, what I can do is I can just pop it outside the front door of my flat, where I've got the communal stairs that go all the way down to street level. I've got a little sort of adjustable half window there, so I could put it there, and that's going to keep it pretty cool. So 4 weeks warm, 3 or 5 days cool / cold. Remove the growing bag, place it in a shallow tray at 21 degrees, cover with the fruiting bag. This is to keep it humid. Then apparently spray it with tap water twice a day, or mist it basically, for about 10 days. And pick the mushroom caps before they unfurl and release spores. Then soak the whole lot again for 2 hours in cold water, drain, put it back on the tray, cover it with the fruiting bag, and then apparently repeat getting my mushrooms until the straw is exhausted. It does say at the bottom that care should be taken in sighting it because of the spores, and that some people are allergic to mushroom spores. That's a really good point actually. So it says avoid confined or poorly ventilated areas. Well, my flat is a confined area. It's only a little ditty flat. I don't know that I'm I don't think I must. Well, surely I'm not allergic to the spores. I eat loads of mushrooms, or I used to. But maybe I won't put it right next to the bed. Okay, so this is, I think with something like this, always read your instructions, always. And I would say read your instructions through 2 or 3 times the whole lot before you even start to do the first step, so you don't kind of, use something you're not supposed to, what have you. But because it seems like there are some quite specific timings on this, probably what I should do is on my calendar is do big circles for a date to say out of the warmth into the cold or whatever, because I will forget. But it looks from all this like we're talking 4.5, 5.5, possibly about 6 weeks to my first pick. Where are we? We're right at the end of November, so it'll be just into January. Great. I shall look forward to it if I follow it and do it all correctly. I did, excuse me, I did as a kid once grow mushrooms. Well, we grew mushrooms, and all I remember was it came in like a sort of a polystyrene, there's like deep polystyrene boxes you see the fishmongers use. It was in that, and it was sort of composty, but the spores must have already been in it. And then all we had to do was, I think we sprinkled some water on it and tucked it away in the airing cupboard. And within the airing cupboard, where we had all the sort of clean linens, sheets and towels and stuff, in the bottom we had the laundry hamper for our dirty washing, and the mushrooms were next to it. And I just remember, I'd go and toss my socks and jeans and t-shirts, whatever, into the laundry hamper and go, oh, there's a new mushroom, have it away. It's kind of like not necessarily the combination you want is to be thinking dirty socks and mushrooms. Ew. Right, so let's go and boil a kettle and see how easy it is to do step number 1. So I'm beginning with my first set of instructions, obviously just waiting for the second kettle to boil, because it does say 2 kettles, approximately 3 litres. In the little picture here you can see they've got it in a bucket, and I thought actually that's very sensible, because this plastic bag full of boiling water, floppy, not a good idea. Oh, let's just turn that off a sec. So I've popped it into one of these old buckets. This is what, let's turn it around, so I get my Epsom salts in. So, oh, it's scotchy on the bottom. I buy my Epsom salts in bulk because it's much cheaper. But then of course I'm left with these buckets, which is really annoying. So this one I've kept, all the others I end up giving away, and friends use them on their allotments, poke holes in the bottom, plant a plant in it. It's obviously much more sensible to buy in bulk because it is, oh, the kettle's hot, it's much cheaper. And I use it for the tomatoes, squash, all of those things. Plus, of course, for my, ow, that handle's really hot. Ow, 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 ow. It's because it's had a second boil. Plus, back to the Epsom salts, I use it a lot for my bathing. This feels most peculiar. Right, that's all in there. Kicking away. Let's have a sniff. Sorry. Oh, that's a vile smell. Oh God, that smells like, that's a real catch in the don't, when you get your mushroom kit, don't sniff the hot straw. That smells like some kind of gone off horse or something. Wow, that's so rank. Okay, so that's my 2 kettles of boiling water. I'm so sorry. So I'm going to leave it for, fold the top over, leave it for 2 hours to cool. Then, after 2 hours, I'm going to pour the excess water out of the bag and leave it to drain for 1 hour before the next stage. I won't bother showing you draining it for an hour. I'll come back to you in 3 hours time when these 2 stages are done, before we kick into step 3, which is going to involve this bit. Yay! I'm so excited, but I really wish I hadn't sniffed it. 3 hours later, and it's now officially dark. It's pitch black out there. Goodness, the day disappears. Okay, so it had 2 hours. Oh God, it still stinks. Man, oh man, that's a bad spell. It's had 2 hours of soaking with the boiling water. Then I tipped off the excess water and then stood the whole thing upside down in a colander to drain. Disgusting. Absolutely vile. All I can say is it looked like a very dehydrated donkey had gone to the lavatory in my kitchen sink. Not that I've ever experienced that before. I do not know what a dehydrated donkey's urine looks like, but I'm guessing. Anyway, it's done. So it's time to put in the mycelium, the grey oyster grain spawn. Now, when this arrived, it was kind of sort of solid looking. It was like this sort of solid mass. So I just kind of manipulated it in a little bag a bit. Sorry, scrunchy, noisy. Because in one of the steps it does say to shake the bag to sprinkle them, and I thought it's not going to sprinkle because it's solid. So the thing is, I can't resist smelling. I think, aren't all of us gardeners and eaters like that? We have to smell something. Even when you have a sniff and it's vile, you go back for a second sniff. Not sniffing that again. What's that smell like? It smells like old wine corks. Here we go. So, just going to sprinkle this in. I want to kind of spread it a little bit if I can. Okay, that's in. That is step number 3. Step 3, tie it up with the cable tie. Now, I was just having a look at this before I turned the camera on because, believe it or not, I don't think in my life I've ever tied a cable tie. I understand the principle of them. They've got a smooth side and then a sort of corrugated side. And there's one way to put it through rather than the other way. And the way to put it through, there's a little teeny tiny lug. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. A little teeny tiny lug in that hole that works as almost like a ratchet. So as you thread it through, it can't come back. You can pull it tighter, but you can't loosen it. So, donkey wee and rotten horse smell. Actually, let's have it out of there for a second and see if I can actually work out how to use cable tie. Is that the right way? I'm sure there's... No, I've done it the smooth way. I need to do it the ratchet way, so it's the other way round. There's probably a ton of builders watching this now, well, not necessarily a ton of builders, thinking, how can you not know how to use cable tie? That's it. So, in it goes, good and tight. I'm just going to stand it back in the Epsom salts bucket for now. And now, following my little set of instructions, it looks like I'm done for today. It looks like now I have to place it in a warm area, 18 to 25 degrees centigrade, for 4 weeks. Daylight not required. So I'm going to find somewhere to put it. A bit of filmers interrupt us again. I so lost track of time. It had got dark by the time I'd finished those stages. And I suddenly remembered I was doing a favour for a friend, so I had to dash out, and then I didn't get back till really late, so I just crawled into bed, and I've just crawled out again now, and I think I'm getting my second cold of the season. Never mind. Right, just to wrap up very quickly, I need to now put my instructions somewhere safe, so I'll put them on my kitchen pin board. I've made a note on the calendar for when 4 weeks is up, and that's when I get ready for the next stage. It's just going to be a couple of days before Christmas. And so, just quickly looking at those remaining steps, it looks like after this, no, I'm not going to blow my nose. After this initial 4 weeks of them cooking in the warm straw, after that 4 weeks, there's a couple of processes, and then it should be 2 weeks from then that I get my first mushrooms. Yay! It'd be so great if it works. What I'll do when it comes to all that, I will film those different stages, but I'll put them together as one video, so it'll be about mid-January. And I'll see if I can find out how much this kit cost, then look at how much yield I get from it, and then we can decide whether is it worth doing. I mean, obviously it's worth doing for me because it was a gift. Thank you, Florrie. But yeah, so if any of you are thinking about buying something like this, let's experiment together first to see if it's actually worth it. Hurrah! I hope so. And just before I go, quickly to mention, because I'm going to put these little links underneath. At the beginning of the video, I was mentioning Anthony Nolan. I can never say that the first time. Anthony Nolan, for the register for bone marrow donors. They actually only take people up to 30. However, if you're over 30, some of us are a couple of days over 30, we might be, you could also register, or instead register with DKMS, that's the Delete Blood Cancer Group. They take donors up to 55, so have a look at those links, and please, please, please consider sticking a cotton bud in your mouth. and getting yourself on one of those 2 registers. Now, I'm not sure in other parts of the world, in other countries, whether you have different registers, but I know that these 2 registers, they work with people all over the world too. So yeah, get yourself on there. Right, I'm going to go and make myself some hot honey and lemon and see if I can shake off this, whatever it is, before it's even starting. So I will see you all again really soon, I hope. Having a quick look out of the window, I don't think it's going to be out in the garden anytime soon because we are still raining. It's really boring, but I'm sure we'll find something else to do indoors before too long. So until then, please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will see you really soon. Cheerio.